car.
Well, Dad?
All cars are different. Alright. Welcome everyone. Today we're doing an oil change on this here 2003 Mazda Miata. Now, for any of you who've ever experienced owning a lowered car, this is what you call a low profile jack, designed specifically to go on lowered cars. It's perfectly designed to go under this lowered car. Oh, just kidding. It's not. You got two options here. You can drive your car up onto some wood blocks or something like that. You can get a really strong friend to lift the car up.
Me.
Or if you're bougie like us, you get a second jack. Now with this here second jack, I'm gonna lift the corner of this here car up just enough so that this jack will actually go under the car. Fancy that.
That's super crazy. Do you remember when we only had 34 subscribers and we couldn't afford a second jack?
Dude, but now with 38, what, 38 now? 40 by the end of this video.
True.
There's so many you're losing count.
You're gonna wanna make sure to jack the car up from the subframe, right in the center.
Good enough.
Start jacking this bad boy up. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Something crunches, probably did it right. Just show me to the jack stand. Thanks, Gramps. Another pro Miata tip. Pinch welds on these cars are super delicate. If you're brave and you jack the car up a lot, I line it up next to the pinch weld, like this, and it seems to not have an issue with it. So now the Zach part went into the car, we're gonna lower it down. Oh, can I borrow your half-inch Suki Ranch?
Yeah.
Is it a fucking towel?
Yeah.
I thought you were a professional.
No. You want a professional?
If you want an idea of true scale, I am a 6 foot tall person. Unbelievably, Zach's entire body can fit. Short wrench is always a craftsman.
My one at work is actually gear wrench. Gear wrench stuff's really good and super inexpensive relative to all the pricey mother truckers out there. I was just speaking a foreign language. That's crazy.
You're speaking in tongues right now.
My mind expanded for a minute.
Josh, you ready to get on the ground? If you're a true car enthusiast, you bring your own. Everywhere I go, these go. Nice. You're gonna want one of these here oil drain fans. Not this one, because I'm pretty sure this is for doing service on heavy equipment.
It's also like $50.
Yeah, it's 50 bucks, it's like 50 gallons. This car holds like half a quart of oil. Damn. We're about to pop this here oil drain bolt. That's a 17 millimeter. Now, because Zach's drain pan is so enormous, we have to keep it out of the way so we can crack this bolt loose. Nice. We're gonna take the blue towels that I've already lost. They're under my ass. We're gonna just take the bolt out. Let's see.
Oh, baby.
Oh yeah, come do a close-up on this, Josh.
Look at that stream.
Not a single drop of oil on this hand.
Oh my God.
That's how you know you're a professional.
Oh my God.
Now, we're gonna pop this here hood. And you can pop the dipstick, crack open your oil filler cap, help that oil drain out a little faster. This is the fun part. Now to all you Mazda Miata enthusiasts, you'll know that the BP motor platform, the engine in this car, was originally transverse mounted in minivans. And they adapted it to be longitudinal, which means you have to take the wheels off, at least this wheel off, to do an oil change, because the oil filter is in the world's worst location.
How convenient.
How convenient. Now, it goes to say you can turn your wheel all the way to the right and just struggle to get the oil filter out. I found it's not worth the effort. It takes 10 seconds to zap the wheel off when it's already off the ground. Might as well just do it. Now that that's off, dun 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 dun, dun dun dun, dun dun dun. This is another one that's hard. If you have a regular filter, you have to use almost died.
It's a nice table made by Zach. Thank
Anybody wants some custom built, handcrafted wood furniture? Zach's Hardwood
you.
on Instagram. You can cheat like I did to get that filter out, and you buy K&N's filters, which if you track your car, you drive it hard, I recommend anyways. The real thing you care about More than performance, they come with a 1-inch bolt adapter or a socket adapter. So you can put a 1-inch socket wrench on it and pop that bad boy loose. Regular Miata filters, you have to struggle, break your hands, try to fit a bunch of tools in there. I recommend a medium-sized pair of slide or channel locks. You can find a way to get in there to wrench that thing off. There's no room to punch a screwdriver into it, and if you did, there's no room to turn it. It's really a terrible location. I like to use a 3/8-inch swivel wrench, gives you more movement, with a 1-inch adapter to crack that thing loose. So, and it looks nice and accessible from up top, but all those little vacuum lines and their brackets actually make it harder than you think. So we're gonna come from down here and probably still struggle a little bit. That's just part of the beauty.
Almost. Oh, you got it.
Oh yeah.
Sounds like you have a lot of room to work with there.
You get one click out of this high-end Craftsman wrench. All right, that's about hand loosened. You can get your hand on it now and loosen it. Josh was showing you from up top, me cracking the oil filter from down here. Now I'm gonna show you a little extra sauce. And like we said, this was originally a transverse mounted engine, and the other beauty of that is when you pull the oil filter off, it leaks directly onto the subframe and sprays oil everywhere. Oh, don't worry, we got it down to a science. The science is gonna ruin your garage floor. I like to take, let's see, there's the oil drain pan draining. I shove one of these towels. I like to put that right there, give it a place to soak up, and now, Dad. So, now it's loose, and it's gonna start draining right where I want it. You shove that towel there, I don't know if you can see it from up there, Josh, but it causes the oil to drain out on the subframe about where the oil drain bolt is. So that way you don't have to try to angle your pan, your little drain pan down here in some fancy way. And then the other thing with this beautiful location is once you get the oil filter off, it still has a good amount of oil in it. So you gotta be kinda clutch it, angling it out and not dumping oil all over your suspension. This bad girl right there. Boom. Dump it out into the drain pan. Let that all keep draining. You can see it's kind of dripping right along here. Normally it would drip back there all the way to the front of the drain pan if you don't shove that rag in there to kind of soak some of it up. We have our halftime show here. Entertainment by design.
This took a while, but anything we're doing takes time.
I'm surprised it could jack you up.
No, that's a lot of weight.
It's a lot of effort. I think this is as high as it goes.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Another pro tip, once you get your new filter, if you're, classless, you can use some of the old oil that's already drained to lubricate this seal. But if you got matte class, you use your fresh oil, you just get a little ring around her. That's nice. That's saucy. Dripping oil all over Zach's floor. We're gonna screw the new one in. So break your back to get in here. Oh yeah. So, all cars are different with their oil filter tightness, but a pretty good rule of thumb, especially for older cars, basically about as tight as you can go within reason with your hand. You're not trying to break your wrist like some of us are prone to doing, but you just want to get it nice and tight with your hand. When the engine runs and gets hot and expands, it pretty much tightens it for you. So good and tight with your hand is fine. Yeah, they basically say once you feel it snug up, you want to do 1/2 to 3/4 of a turn on a regular one. Because this is in such a terrible spot and you can't get very good leverage with your hand, it's not as easy to gauge. So I pretty much just go as tight as I can with my hand without going crazy hard wrenching on it. As long as you can see that your oil's not like still draining out super hard, I'm gonna pop the oil drain plug back in. Another very solid play, if you're a professional, is to put a new crush washer on your drain plug. But if you're me, this is about your 15th oil change on this drain plug. And crush washer, it's doing great. That's okay. I'm gonna wipe away all the excess oil on the subframe from where the oil filter dropped it. And I'm gonna pull out the rag I shoved in there to stop it. Gets drained out into that. That'll all just be on your subframe all over the place. Toss those in the trash, OSHA approved. Your drain plug will have a torque spec that will be on the interwebs, usually between, well, probably 15 and 30 foot-pounds, depending on the car. I think Miatas are like 25-ish, don't quote me. I just hand tighten it, never torque the string bolt ever. We're not trying to be too professional here. And then because Zach so kindly lended me these rags, I use them to wipe away any more excess oil I can see. We are just about there.
Very nice.
Very nice. Pro tip before you put your car back on the ground, just put the wheel back on. We have a second Miata that's yet to make the debut on this channel.
I need to get another Integra to match that.
Yeah, you do.
So you have your second Miata, I need to make an Integra.
Yeah.
Integra, yeah.
Let's triple check everything. Drain plug's tight, probably. Oil filter's tight, probably. Lug bolt's kind of tight, probably. Car's good to get put back on the ground. This amazing process.
Great success.
Great success. Gotta lower this thing down till just about before this one will bottom out. Should be good. And now, because I'm hella extra, I like to torque my wheels without them fully on the ground. Gives you a little bit more even torque spread, or at least that's what they tell me. Alright. Now throw it back on the ground. We're all about self-love here on the Imperial Racing channel. We're all about love here on the Imperial Racing channel. Alright, so now that Zach has given me this super dirty filter,
That ain't no filter.
funnel almost guaranteed to destroy my engine. Probably sand and metal shavings in there.
It's fine.
Miatas take 3.8 quarts. Start with about 3.5. That usually does the job. Fill her on up.
But you get the 5-quart jug because if you track your car, you go through what, half a quart in a track day, and then you get to you use the rest anyways, basically.
Or if you're like me and you commute 100 miles each way to work, you put about half a quart every 2 weeks in your car. So the 5-quart jug ends up being used up before your next oil change.
Yeah, so it's worth it. You're not wasting money buying too much oil.
Yeah. Honestly, any old car like this, or just any oil change in general, you're going to be saving money by buying the gallon jugs, because this was like 33 bucks. It's like 11 bucks for the individual quarts. This is 5 quarts. So, like, big jugs are the best jugs. That's Josh. All the metal shavings in this here funnel are really slowing down the pouring process.
Pour right here, so
Yeah, so you can have it over there.
Genius.
You couldn't tell.
Stay in school, kids.
Never made it past 10th grade. At the sake of Zach's neighbors peeping on us. That's tight. Everything else is probably tight. There's some oil in the engine as far as we know. Get this bad boy in neutral. Start her up.
Peek on your oil filter, make sure it's not spewing oil out.
Now, you're only running the engine to let the oil filter fill with oil. And in my case, because the car is old and I never replaced my crush washer, to make sure it's not leaking. Normally you can wait a minute and check the oil and you'll be fine. Miatas, in their ever amazing quest to be terrible to do oil changes on, the dipsticks are really hard to read on these cars. I usually wait about 5 minutes, and at least on this car, one side of the dipstick will always show 1/3 of a quart higher than the other half. So I kind of just average the two. Give it 5 minutes,
Quick math.
check the dipstick. Double check the wheel torque, that's an important one. Brakes and wheels, 2 things you don't want to fall off.
Look at the fitment on that Integra.
It's been 5-ish minutes. Pull this bad boy out, give her that initial little wipe down, get a clear reading. Bada boom, bada bing. Now I don't know if you can see this, but it's showing about halfway up on this side. I'll flip it, and it's showing about 1/4 of the way up. So there you go. They read about 1/4 of the dipstick off. From the low to the full line is about 1 quart. So if it's showing about 1/3 up, we're only gonna put like 1/3 of a quart back in, a little bit more maybe, get it close to the top mark, You don't want to overfill these things because overfilling your engine on oil actually makes it work harder. This car has few enough horsepower on its own.
That's a good rule for any oil change, is that the marks on the dipstick are usually about a quart. So
Yeah,
if you're not on the dipstick marks at all, add half a quart, do the whole check again, see where you're at.
Dangerous.
Yeah, and there you go. We put exactly 3.5 quarts in it now. Doing your oil change, check it again after about a minute or two once you've added some oil to make sure. So we're gonna call it a day.
Boom. Peace. Beautiful sky.
I think we did really well.
I think we always do well. Look at us.
Did well.
Bad advice.
That's how long
Zach's
your
an old
problem is.
man. I'll give you something sweet.
Bet you will.